Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Door to Deceit. I'm your host Ash, and I am happy you're here. Thank y'all so much for the support as usual, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. Sorry it's a little bit late. I've been under the weather a little bit because of my allergies and stuff, but we're back in it. So let's get into the case. We're easing back into the violence with this one. Nobody dies, but there's some crazy stuff that happens. So, I'm not a parent, right? But I can imagine that a parent's worst fear is something happening to their kid. I can only imagine that fear is like tenfold, 100-fold even, when they're a newborn. Well, this story is definitely going to make you hold your babies even tighter. Our story begins in Savannah, Georgia with 23-year-old Gabrielle Rodgers. Gabby, as she likes to be called, had just 6 weeks prior given birth to twin boys. Oh, God bless. During her pregnancy, she'd met a woman named Kathleen Daniels in a Facebook mommy group. Now, Kathleen, who was actually 25-year-old Angela Montgomery, had a fiance and claimed that she was pregnant as well. She also had a child before this, so, a standing child already, allegedly also pregnant. Now, if you watch Lifetime movies, baby, then you already know where this is going, okay? You can see where this is headed. We see the road. We see the path, okay? Anyway, the two had talked for months, and they grew a friendship that ended up almost costing Gabby her life and her son's. So it's not like, Gabby just invited this lady over to her house out of the blue. Like, they had linked up multiple times. It's not like this was some fly-by-night type thing. This was a months in the making friendship. Yes, it was mostly online for the first initial talks, but they had definitely met up prior. And actually, the Thursday before the assault, they had a picnic at the park with Angela and her other baby. So obviously Gabby wasn't thinking anything crazy. Like, the girl had been a good friend to her. She dropped off stuff for her at the hospital when she was pregnant. And, she was just a good friend and a good support system, according to Gabby, before all of this happened. So, it's safe to say she felt comfortable enough with her relationship with Angela to invite her over to her home yet again, because she had been over there before. Angela was supposed to be bringing Gabby formula for the kids. But baby, after settling in, the two ended up in a fight to the literal almost death. I must say, this is probably one of the scariest situations that I've read about. Like, I could not imagine being in this situation. As I was looking through the case, I was trying to put myself in Gabby's shoes. What would I do? What would I do differently? And realistically, until you're in a situation, you don't really know how you'll react. But obviously you can get, I'm of the mindset that if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I'm always thinking of like ways I can get out of situations. If I get kidnapped, how do I get out of this? If somebody tries to put a gun to my head, how do I get out of that? If somebody, whatever, like, I'm always trying to think of an escape route, baby, because one thing about me, baby, I'm trying to live. I'm trying to be out here getting it. So I really had to put myself deep into a thought process here because A, I don't have kids, and B, I don't really never, plan on having kids. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. It was hard to put myself in this mind frame, I guess, of like, what do you do? Because realistically, when I got into this situation in my head, it's like immediately get myself to safety. But like, as a parent, you have to put your kids first. And no shade, this is how I know I'm not ready for kids. But this is not about me. Let's get back to Gabby. So basically, Gabby explained from her hospital bed. Now, I watched the actual footage of this, of her, relaying all the information to the cops of what happened, how the whole fight went down, how she got away, etc., etc. And it was really hard to watch because one of her wounds was to her head, which we'll get into a little bit later. One of her wounds was to her head, so you could tell it was hard for her to kind of recall the scenario and recall what was happening and what happened. And even in the retelling of this story, some of this stuff was like jumbled, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of out of order, if you will. And it just made me feel so fucking bad for her, because you just gave birth 6 weeks ago. That fucks with the woman so bad in terms of just like hormones and how your body adjusts in general, and then just pain levels, etc., etc. And she had twins, not just one baby, two. So I know sister was in pain. Like, she had to really get down for the get down. Like, that was a lot. So basically, she explained from her hospital bed that Angela came up behind her while she was distracted and ended up wrapping a phone charger cord around her throat. Now, at this point, she's trying to strangle the hell out of her. And she said that while Angela was trying to strangle her, she kept saying that she was upset that she couldn't find her phone, which, bitch, how is that her problem? And that she was taking the boys. Like, they basically had a whole argument, according to Gabby, like while she was being, I guess, I wouldn't say she literally had it around her throat like garrote type beat, you feel me? But I definitely do think that she probably had at least like, you know, it was around her throat and maybe Gabby stopped it. You know, like, you know how in movies when people be trying to strangle somebody and they get their fingers underneath what they're trying to strangle them with. I feel like it was kind of giving that, because realistically, if you're getting strangled and somebody has it like around your neck, I don't see y'all having an argument, you feel me? But I do understand why she said she was being strangled, because bitch, she was being strangled, you feel me? So anyways, they were having this whole argument back and forth where Angela was like, I'm taking the kids, and Gabby was like, bitch, no, you're not. And then of course Angela was like, girl, I am taking these kids. They don't belong to you. And Gabby's like, bitch, what? Like, I carried and birthed these babies. Like, what are you talking about, girl? But of course, you know, you cannot reason with a crazy person straight like that. So luckily though, Gabby was able to push her back and up off of her, okay? And she broke Angela's hold. Now at that point, Gabby did what many mothers do, okay? And what they should do, and like I said, this is why I'm not a mom, she ran to her kids. Me personally, I would have ran to the door. Because baby, I gotta get up out of here. This bitch trying to kill me. But anyway, she ran to her babies like a good mom. And you know, unfortunately, she didn't really make it that far before she heard popping sounds. Now, of course, adrenaline pumping, if y'all know anything about adrenaline, baby, it can block out anything. Okay, it's the GOAT. Okay, it will block out absolutely any pain. So, of course, she heard the popping noises, didn't really recognize what they were, where they came from, what it was about. She was just trying to get to her babies. Upon seeing the door, okay, that her kids were behind, she saw that shit was closed. So she said, you know what, let me change gears. And she was going to go get some help instead, because apparently they don't have a phone in the house. So she had to go to someone else to try to call the police and get some help. So basically she turned to the front door to try to make her escape. And then she heard another pop. At that point, she fell to the ground because, okay, adrenaline can only do so much, right? At the end of the day, your body is still a body, all right? And if something knocks you off your feet, it's going to knock you off your feet. But she got right the frick back up, fueled off of nothing but survival and fucking adrenaline, okay? Absolute fucking mommy power. And she ran to the neighbors for help. When she ran to the side neighbors for help, they actually were not there. So she beat on the door. Nobody came. So she was like, okay, fuck it. Stumbled across the street to another neighbor and beat on her door. Luckily, this lady was there, but she was downstairs in her basement with her kids. So she's beating on the door. The neighbor said she heard her beating on it like the fucking police. And then I guess she kind of realized, let me ring the doorbell. So she rang the doorbell and the lady came on up and she just spilled her guts to her and basically was like, listen, I was shot. This lady's trying to steal my kids. I need you to call the cops, etc., etc., etc. Apparently, while she was on the lady's porch, she ended up passing out, but then waking back up and kind of passing out, waking up again. But Gabby's sister also ended up showing up, and she was able to relay the information to her and let her know what happened so that her sister could send the police on the search for her nephews while she got taken to the hospital. Now, as far as her wounds, Gabby ended up with a gunshot wound to the right temple, the left breast, and the upper right thigh. So it was bad, okay? Because if you know anything about thigh injuries, I mean, obviously we know the temple and the left breast could have been extremely dangerous. That is her heart behind that left boob. That is her brain behind that right temple. And in that damn thigh is, I believe it's called the femoral artery. Yeah, sister could have been up out of here 3 ways to motherfucking Sunday. Like, that girl was not trying to let her live over her own freaking babies. You're nuts. Anyways, luckily enough, she was able to, coherently answer questions from the EMS while she was in the back of the van and everything. And so things were looking up for her, especially because with a temple injury or a brain injury, if you will, stuff can go real bad real quick. So God was definitely on her side. Thank the Lord. The police started their investigation. As quickly as they got that information, they ended up determining that Kathleen was an alias. Okay. And they found Angela's real information because, of course, when everyone relayed the information to them, they're like, oh, it's Kathleen Daniels or Davis or whatever the fuck her name was that she picked out of a hat, apparently. They were able to figure out, girl, this is not her real name. Her real name is Angela. Okay. And let's go get this hoe. So the police end up searching her home. Of course, they end up finding her. They arrest her ass and, take her in for questioning. They also detained her mother and someone else. They were both in the video that I watched, but they didn't say who the other person was. It kind of looked like a little girl, but it could have just been a thin woman. I don't know. The faces were blurred. The point is, her mom genuinely thought, allegedly, okay, genuinely thought that those babies belonged to her. Like, she genuinely thought that they were her kids. So I don't know. I don't know. Luckily, though, the babies were also found there and they were alive and well. They're in the house and they were able to be rescued and returned to their family. Now, while Gabby was in the hospital and was stable, they actually brought her a photo lineup. And of course, she picked Miss Angela out, and that put the final nail in her coffin. So during her police interrogation, Angela started off a little crazy. Okay, she started talking a little nuts. She alluded that her fraternal twin, Destiny, actually did the shooting. So basically, Angela told detectives that she had got a call from Destiny that morning, and Destiny was telling her to come to Gabby's address. Now, she claims that when she showed up, she just drove right off. I don't know why the fuck she showed up if she was just gonna drive off, but period. She claims that she didn't ask her sister any questions when she later saw the kids that morning. She just asked, "What do you want me to do?" Girl, anyway, like, that just sounds so fucking stupid. Anyhow, she also claimed that she had miscarried and that she was intending to break that news to her fiance that morning before Destiny had called. So I don't know. I guess maybe she decided to present those 6-week-old twins to him instead of the truth that she had miscarried. If she had actually even miscarried or was pregnant at all. Because to me, it's giving very much the plot that many of these weird ass bitches have had, where they stalk pregnant women, pretend to be pregnant as well, steal their fucking kid after, they're born or whatever. Most of the time, I will say, they pretend to be pregnant alongside the woman, pretend to give birth alongside the woman, type beat, and then steal the kid, like fresh out the womb type beat. But I guess she decided to wait till all the blood and guts and gore and that type of shit was done so she could just come and strangle her, I guess. But then the strangling didn't work, so she shot. You know what? Unclear motives aside, the police had their woman and they booked her ass. Okay, that's the point. They locked her ass up. Okay, and Miss Angela decided she was going to plead guilty to aggravated assault and kidnapping. Now, to me personally, I think they should have charged her with attempted murder because, like I said, those were 3 chances that girl could have lost her life. I'm sorry, not that girl, Gabby. Those are 3 chances that Gabby could have lost her life. That heart shot, that head shot, and that thigh shot. All of those could have taken her out. So in my opinion, it should have definitely gave worse than aggravated assault, but period. She pled guilty to aggravated assault and kidnapping. And of course, her attorney tried the whole, oh, she's mentally insane. Y'all know how they do. But I mean, to be fair, I will say she was saying a lot of shit that didn't make any sense. And I mean, she literally went home with the kids. So insanity is a little believable. I'll give them that. But girl, I still don't think you should get to skate. So moving on, babes, the state of Georgia gave her ass 70 years. And you know what? I hope that in her time in jail, she is able to find some help. Like, for real. I really do think she needs some help. So I hope they have a therapist or some meds or something up in there for her. I mean, this is actually a really scary story, though, when you think about it, because, like, for women, we're typically really cautious of men that we meet online. But this really goes to show you that you cannot trust every woman you meet online either. Because some of these bitches are very, very devious, clearly. Like, these two met several times before. She brought Gabby all these goodies and stuff when she was in the hospital. They went on a fucking picnic, okay? Like, all the signs that we can see pointed to her being normal. So, like, oh my God, that is terrifying. Like, it's sick, honestly, considering that the internet is a way that millions of people connect every single freaking day. Like, especially in this day and age, like, it is just scary because you never really know. Anyways, I'm out of here. Thank y'all for listening. And I hope you're leaving having learned some lessons. And if not, please go back and listen again. I'll see y'all next time. And hey, do not forget to lock that door behind me. You never know what could come crawling in.